can already see, today's walk is very unusual. We are currently in Chandni Chowk or Shahjahanabad, and we are on the western side of Shahjahanabad. What we are trying to do is actually find some railway lines because we want to do some train spotting. So let's see if we are able to find the train in this area, and we'll go west as I mentioned. So if you've walked with me often enough in Old Delhi, you know that this is standard for Old Delhi. And the reason we are going west is because there's a railway line to the west. So it's not really been super successful so far. We are now at this unauthorized construction by the tracks, and we are trying to get to the level of the railway tracks, but I don't think there's access from here, but we'll see. Yeah, so I think just like the people here and the literal traffic jam of people here in Sadar Bazar, this video today and this walk today has been going fast because we actually failed to find the railway tracks to the west of Chandni Chowk, at least in the areas that we were venturing around in. And now, as you can see, wow, we've come further west beyond the railway tracks, the tracks that we see on the map but we could not see in person. And in this direction to the west of Chandni Chowk is another very old area, which was more of an industrial area where lots of businesses and industries were present and are present today. It's more of a retail space. It's called Sadar Bazar, and as you can see, it can get absolutely crazy. And I think the reason we are seeing so much crowd today here in Sadar Bazar, instead of seeing the trains, is because Sunday seems to be the day when there's a special bazaar or a special street market here. So you can see everybody's out on the road, people are buying things. Of course, it's not something we can do. We would just try to walk through this area and get to the other side, get to the north of Chandni Chowk. And when I say human traffic jam, I think I mentioned that term earlier. I'm not kidding. That is how crowded this area or these areas of Sadar Bazar get. Like this is the main road. If you go further in the left, it would be even more crowded, and people actually get stuck when they're walking because there's a human traffic jam. So yeah, as strange as that sounds, that's sometimes the reality of Sadar Bazar here in Old Delhi. So we are still at the street market, now in front of these bright colors. But yeah, we'll soon leave the market and get to the north. Alright, so now let's kind of maybe try to zoom out a little bit in our heads. So we were on the west side of Chandni Chowk. So the Chandni Chowk area was to our east, if you know what I mean. And we were walking north until there was no Chandni Chowk to our east. And once that happened and we reached basically the north of Chandni Chowk, we started walking on this road. So what you see on the left, right there actually, that's where Chandni Chowk is, and now we are trying to walk in the east direction on this road that borders Chandni Chowk in the north. And yeah, we'll explore areas beyond Chandni Chowk, because of course over the last many videos you've seen a lot of Chandni Chowk, also called Shahjahanabad, also called Old Delhi. And now we'll venture out a little bit and we'll see what else we find around Chandni Chowk. There's something so intriguing and also sad, of course, about these posters that you see all around the city. So technically we are leaving Chandni Chowk or Old Delhi behind, because we are going further north on what's called the Lothian Road. And it's interesting where the name comes from, because my earlier research tells me that this Lothian is actually a Scottish surname. And right at the mouth of the Lothian Road, close to Old Delhi, you would find what's called the Lothian Cemetery. We see the railway lines on our right there. And the cemetery is, I think, one of the oldest. It was built in very early 1800s. And not sure if the cemetery gave name to the road or vice versa, but yeah, it's an important cemetery. This is where a lot of Europeans, a lot of Britishers are buried from early 1800s, and also a lot of people who were killed in the 1857 revolt. So this monument is a British monument. It's called the British Artillery Monument, where the Britishers kept their weapons and their artillery in order to use to fight any wars. And this is the interesting bit about areas to the north of Old Delhi, that you'll find a lot of first British settlements in this area. Adding on to my earlier point a little bit, so because Old Delhi was already well developed, the Britishers, they started settling down and building things and building residential areas just to the north of Old Delhi, and that's where this monument is located as well. And there's this very interesting plaque, a little difficult to read, but it talks about how in 1857, the revolt of 1857, this place, this artillery monument also saw a lot of action. But yeah, I think this is where we can probably end our walk. While we failed to find the trains, we've of course found so much more.